As a pickleball coach, one of the questions that I get asked the most by my intermediate and even advanced players is how do I stop popping up my dinks? This is one of the most asked questions and one of the most prevalent problems in the intermediate game. Players can't stop getting their dinks to go just a little bit too high and they get slammed at the kitchen line. So today I'm going to show you guys how to keep your dinks nice and low so that you won't get attacked at the line. So for this video, we're gonna get back to the basics a little bit. If you wanna keep your dinks nice and low, we have to first simplify it. Now, the first thing that I see when a player comes to me and says, I'm always popping my dinks up, almost religiously, is that they're taking too big of a swing. They're taking a big backswing and a big follow through, and that's what's causing the ball to go up in the air. So when we're hitting our dinks, remember, this may sound simple and this may sound like the stuff that you heard the first day you picked up a paddle, but it's super important and it applies to every single level of the game. We have to keep our swing small. So when I'm preparing for my dink, my first tip is gonna be that I wanna keep the paddle in my peripheral vision. So if I'm watching the ball on the other side, I wanna make sure that I can still see the paddle as I'm preparing. That's gonna mean that I'm not taking too big of a backswing. If I'm watching the other side and I'm right here, I can see it out of the corner of my eye, I'm good. If I take the paddle back to here, I can't see it anymore. So now it's way too far back. It's behind my leg. So I want to keep that paddle out in front and keep it in the corner of my eye at all times, even if I'm looking over towards my opponent. I do pull the paddle back a tiny bit just to get some momentum, but still everything is going to be out in front. And notice that these dinks, they're all landing right in the middle of my opponent's kitchen. That's because I'm hitting it soft with a soft swing and no backswing. Now also notice that I'm not really taking much of a follow through. I'm letting the paddle come back into my ready position, but I'm not hitting the ball too hard with a big follow through. That's what I see happen to beginners and intermediate players all the time. They're taking too big of a follow through up to here. I teach a lot of players at the 4.0 level that want to break into the 4.5 level. And one of the things that I see on their dinks is they're pulling the paddle all the way up here, or they're doing this. This is one of the most common things that I see, where they're swinging up to create some topspin or swinging across. That's gonna be too big of a follow through. It's gonna make the ball go too far. So watch these dinks here. When I pull up, now the ball goes high. That's the same backswing from before, but now I'm taking a follow through and the ball goes way up high. Same thing if I swing across. I come across this way and the ball goes too far and it's just gonna get slammed on me. So my follow through should just be enough to come back to my ready position, and that's gonna be all. We're gonna hit and then return right to here. That's all I'm doing. I'm dinking and then very small just to get into my ready position. Remember, if I come across, the ball goes too high. Now my opponent's hitting it out of the air because I'm swinging too far across the ball. Dink, ready position. That's all it takes to hit good low dinks. The next tip that I'm gonna give you guys is to make sure that you're keeping a loose grip. Grip pressure is super, super important on the dinks. If you squeeze your hand, the dink's gonna go far. If you relax your hand, the dink's gonna float into the kitchen nice and easy and stay low. When you squeeze the paddle really hard, it's gonna act like a brick wall. Imagine you're throwing a ball against a brick wall. It's gonna bounce right off. When you have a loose grip, it acts like a mattress. It absorbs. It absorbs the force of the ball, so it just deflects back into the kitchen. So whenever you're dinking, we want to have a grip pressure of about a 3 out of 10. We want to keep everything nice and simple, super relaxed, and the paddle should just be resting on the base of your hand this way. In fact, I could even dink with just my finger and my thumb if I wanted to. See here, the paddle's just doing all the work. I'm not really swinging hard. I'm barely holding onto the paddle, but I'm still getting the ball in play. That's what relaxing your hand can do. It's just enough to get the ball in. Now, I would never do that if I were actually playing. You want to keep holding the paddle with a regular grip, but it just goes to show how you can be super relaxed, and that's enough to get the ball in play. If I'm tight, now it's going to start popping up. As soon as I squeeze, the ball goes far, but you want to keep that nice relaxed grip, loose grip, it's going to get the ball in the kitchen. The third tip is going to be to make sure that you're getting low. If you want to hit good dinks, we have to get under the ball. This may sound a little counterintuitive because if you're coming down low, you might think, oh, well, then I'm moving up and the ball is going to pop up. But really, getting low is going to put us in a good position to hit the ball, because if I'm not low with my knees, then I have to raise my wrist to hit the ball. I'm going to flick my dinks like this. This is going to be a really quick poppy motion that gets the ball to come up. But if I come down with my knees, then I can swing with my shoulder, which gives me a little bit more control. So when I'm hitting my dinks, if I want to keep them down low, I have to get low first. Hit from just below the ball, and this way I can control my dinks right in the middle of that kitchen box. Now if I pop up here, see how I have to bend down with my back, and I have to do a little bit more to get that ball, and it's gonna pop up. So we can get low, and then that's gonna lead us into our fourth tip, which is get behind the ball. If I'm getting low, then it makes it easier for me to move side to side and not reach for the ball. So here, notice how I'm low, I'm getting to the ball, and even though I'm moving, I can still get that ball nice and low right in the middle of the kitchen. What I see a lot of players do is they stand upright and they don't move out to the ball to get behind it, so they reach, same thing happens, you flick your wrist. And that's gonna cause high dinks if I'm flicking at it. So when I say get behind the ball, what I mean is moving sideways to it so that we're hitting it right by our leg. So if I'm hitting a forehand, I wanna be hitting by my right leg, a backhand by my left leg. So even if I have to move side to side, notice where my contact point is. Still by my leg. I'm getting behind it, as opposed to hitting outside where I'm doing that and I'm reaching, I'm not behind it there. And see how this gives me a much harder time controlling the ball. If I'm reaching, I can't control, but if I can move side to side and get behind, tons of control here. I can do whatever I want with that ball. I can get it right back into the kitchen, or if it's a little bit high, I could even go for my speed up from that spot. But if I'm out of position, it's gonna be a no-go. And the last bonus tip that I'm gonna leave with you guys, which seems super simple, but believe me, it's very important, is keep your eye on the ball and watch the ball come all the way to your paddle. Because one of the most important things for keeping the ball low is making sure that you're hitting it in the sweet spot. If you're hitting it outside the sweet spot, it's gonna be an inconsistent shot. But if we can get it right in the middle of that paddle, right in that sweet spot, you're gonna have an easier time hitting those soft shots. So keep your eye on the ball, watch it all the way to the paddle. And to summarize, if you find yourself popping your dinks up, in general, just keep it simple. Keep that swing small, no backswing, no follow through. Just pull the paddle back enough to get behind the ball and follow through enough to get to your ready position. We wanna make sure that we have a loose grip. We wanna have a grip pressure of about a 3 out of 10. The paddle does all the work. All we're doing is letting the paddle rest on the base of our hand, right here. Look at how loose that grip is. I can shake it. That's how loose I should be when I'm dinking. And then finally, we wanna make sure that we're getting low beneath the ball, and then we're moving side to side so that we can get behind the ball and hit the ball right in front of our legs. If we're not moving well, we're gonna be reaching and you're gonna flick your wrist. That's gonna cause a pop-up. Keep using those tips and you're gonna be sure to improve your dinking game dramatically.